So Donald Trump started talking about his faith. Nobody believes he's got any real faith. Anyway, some people report that he goes to church all the time, and maybe he does. I mean, and do I know his mind? Do I know his heart? Yeah, I do. Because when they asked him, what's your favorite book? He pulled a George Bush. And he was like, the Bible. Oh, great. What's your favorite verse? Lots of them, many of them, none of them, all of them. He doesn't know a thing about the Bible, man. I don't know if he goes to church or why he goes to the church, but can't name a single verse in the Bible. Yeah, I think you're allowed to question his faith and whether it's genuine in that regard. I mean, this is the guy who bragged that he didn't go to Vietnam and said he went to sex parties. Okay, a long time ago, we went the question, a long time ago. Now, no, totally about Jesus Christ now. So Dr. Ben Carson got on him because Ben Carson is a very spiritual man by all accounts. Trump didn't like that. So guess what he's going to do? You know it. He's going to fire back. Here he is on CNN.
When Ben Carson criticizes or questions, he doesn't even know me. You know where I met him? He comes to my club in Palm Beach. Okay? I have a great club, Mar-a-Lago, in Palm Beach. He comes to my club. I hardly know Ben Carson. When he questions my faith, and I'm a believer, big league, in God, in the Bible, and he questions my faith and he doesn't know me, and you say I'm not supposed to hit back?
Don, everybody knows you're going to hit back. Okay, and I like Cuomo's exasperated look on his face the whole time. But the whole reason we're covering this story, did you hear that quote in the middle? Quote, I'm a believer, big league, in God. I will hit back on that. I didn't know there was a minor leagues and a major leagues in believing in God. Everything Donald Trump does is fantastic. Even the way he believes in God, fantastic. Whereas the way Carson does it, loser, low energy. That's what he said. He said he makes Jeb Bush look like the Energizer Bunny. What do I care about Ben Carson's energy? And what does it have to do with this? He said later on, he was an okay doctor. Now, wait. I got a bone picked up with Ben Carson. I think I don't agree with any of his positions. I don't think he's equipped to do this job. But by all accounts, everybody said he was an excellent doctor. Okay, so I've got friends who knew of him in the medical community who were like, wow, he was a great doctor. But Trump, facts are irrelevant. I got to hit back. Yeah, he was an okay doctor. I mean, he used to come to Palm Beach and play at my golf course. I'm better because I have a golf course, and he was just a neurosurgeon. Okay, and then, of course, he hits him with, he was heavy into the world of abortion. No, wait a minute. Ben Carson is a bit of a hypocrite, and we discussed this on the show, because he did work on stem cells. And then later he complained about stem cells and how, Planned Parenthood might be giving that to the scientific community. Now, you did scientific work on that. But Ben Carson didn't do abortions, and he wasn't heavy in the world of abortions. Okay? Trump is on a league of his own, on a planet of his own. He said, well, you're going to nick me? Did you just brush up against me? Did you step on my shoes? Heavy into the world of abortions, mediocre doctor. You used to play golf at my course. And, faith, big league, minor league. And plus, you're a dum-dum and a baby.